Hey there, I'm srcmake. Today we're going to learn about what VPNs are and how they work, and eventually we're going to make our very own VPN server. So as usual, I've got my website open and it's got all the resources that we need. If you'd like to view this webpage, then go ahead and click the link below this video, and while you're down there, you can also click the subscribe button for this YouTube channel. So I want to preface this video by saying that there's another article I have and another video on how the internet works. I strongly recommend going through this topic because it's a building block for understanding how VPNs work. So go ahead and do that. There'll be a link below this video again if you'd like to see that, which you should. But with that said, let's talk about VPNs, which are virtual private networks. We're going to start out by looking at the motivation for why we would use a VPN. So let's look at this picture. Let's say that we're on a public Wi-Fi, which is represented in this red box, like a coffee shop or a hotel, something like that. And the reason that this is really unsafe is because you've got a hacker on the network that can be intercepting traffic, or maybe it's the network owner that's intercepting traffic, and that's pretty bad. So what would normally happen is this is us, we've got our phone, and we want to go to google.com or we want to do something on the internet. So our request gets sent to the router, which goes through the internet to the website server. The issue is this hacker, because they can also be intercepting the data. Since it's public Wi-Fi, you never know what's going to happen. And that's really not safe, because if you're posting login information or something else and the website's not using SSL, or maybe the app you're using isn't using SSL, since there are so many things that use the internet, it's just not good, because this hacker can see plain text information about our passwords and anything else, which is bad. So that's the motivation behind VPNs, and we're going to look at how VPNs actually work in this picture. So we've got this same setup. We're on a local public Wi-Fi with this hacker, but now we're using a VPN. And we've got this website server over here on the internet that we're trying to get to, but this time we're going to facilitate our data by using a VPN. Now the VPN has its own network. The VPN network comes with its own router, and it comes with its own server, which is just a computer that's going to handle the encrypting and unencrypting of our data. So again, this is going to make sense later, but the special thing is this VPN server and the VPN router, which is now handling our information. So let's go through the arrows and see what happens. On our device, we have certain data that we want to send to the website server, but this time we're going to be encrypting the data on our device. So now the encrypted data goes to our local router, which is the public router. Now this data, which is the green line, could actually be getting sent to the hacker, but it doesn't matter in this case because it's encrypted. The hacker's not going to be able to break the encryption, probably. So we can consider this safe even if he does get this information. Now the local router sends our data to the VPN network's router, not to the website server directly, but to the VPN network, this router. The VPN network's router passes this data to the VPN server, and the VPN server unencrypts this data. So now the VPN server has the unencrypted data, and what they do is they send it back to the VPN network's router, and they make the request to the website for us. So in this other picture, we were doing basically the same thing with this orange line. We just sent the request right to the website server with raw information, raw data, no matter what happened. But this time, the VPN network is the one doing it. And the reason that this works and this is safe is because hopefully there are no hackers on this VPN network. It's a private network. That's the whole point of it being safe. There are no hackers, so we can trust raw data getting sent to the website server. So the website server generates a response, which is the brown line, gets sent back to the VPN network's router. Could be plain data, could be encrypted, who knows. But it comes back to the VPN server, which then encrypts the data, sends it back to the VPN network's router. The VPN network's router sends it back to our local router on the public Wi-Fi, and it gets sent back to our device, which is the red line. Our device then unencrypts the data, and we can use it however we were going to use it. And this red line also represents that the data could go back to the hacker, but again, it's encrypted, so the hacker can't do anything with it. They can't unencrypt it. They don't have the tools. The tools to unencrypt and encrypt are on our device and on the VPN server, and that's what makes it special. So just to reiterate, the reason that this works is because we've got the VPN server and the VPN network that is facilitating our data, and we're encrypting all our data and sending it to the VPN network. So this hacker only gets encrypted information, which is useless to them because they can't unencrypt it. And that's basically how VPN networks, VPN servers, VPNs themselves work. It's all about the networking and encryption. So why would you use a VPN? Well, one is for security. If you're on a public Wi-Fi or something where there might be like suspicious people, you want to send your information to a safe network, and that's why you would use a VPN. Especially if you're out at a hotel or a coffee shop, I wouldn't send my data or do anything on the public Wi-Fi. Next is to be on a certain network. So maybe you're at home and you want to access a file from your work network. Well, you can trick the work network into thinking that you are actually there. Because, see, right here, we're here on this local public Wi-Fi. But the trick is that our data is getting sent to this network. So this website server doesn't actually see our local Wi-Fi. What they see is the VPN network's Wi-Fi. And through that, you can do some IP tricks into tricking people saying that you're here instead of over here. And you can do that because you want to access work stuff, or maybe there's regional locks, like maybe a YouTube video is blocked in your country and you'd like to view it, so you use a VPN that's in that country that allows it, stuff like that. And personally for me, the reason I like VPN so much is I pay my ISP for internet and cable. And the way the cable works is they actually have apps that check to see if I'm at home. So on my phone, like let's say I want to watch a certain channel like ESPN or something like that. As long as I'm connected to the local Wi-Fi, then the ISP thinks I'm home and they're like, okay, sure, go ahead. Go ahead and access the app and you can view full content. But if I'm away from home, they're like, no. Then anyone could access that. And so they don't let you access full content. So personally, I use a VPN to connect to home to trick my ISP into thinking I am home so that I can access shows or anything like that from away from home, which is great for me because if I'm out and about and I want to watch like a sports game, then I can just go ahead and connect to home and I can have access to it without needing to do illegal stuff. Speaking of illegal stuff, the last reason to use a VPN is to hide your activity. So the website server doesn't actually know we're here, once again, and people use that just to torrent and do other stuff that would otherwise be blocked, like maybe their school's network blocks accessing certain websites. If you use a VPN, you can get through those blocks. I don't recommend that, but, that's just one of the reasons to use a VPN. So again, I said at the beginning of this video that we're going to be making our own VPN server because of the motivations for security and for accessing certain networks. And there are two ways to do this. There are two things you need to do. You need to set up the server itself to accept traffic and encrypt and unencrypt data. And you also need to set up the router to accept this traffic and facilitate all these transactions. And it seems a little hard, but there are two ways to do this. There's a really simple way using Windows 10 that has built-in point-to-point tunneling protocol, which is actually really simple. It's really manageable. And then you've got the super hard and super hacker way, which is you need to install OpenVPN on Linux. And this is actually like a much better solution because the encryption is much better. You can accept a lot more information. You don't have to use your Windows 10 password or anything like that. But it's much harder. So in the next few videos, we're going to be looking at the Windows 10 way and the Linux way of setting up our own VPN server. But now you know what a VPN is, and if you really want to read in depth, you can view this article. But yeah, that's VPN. So we're going to be doing more videos later, so I'm going to stop with this video. Thanks for watching. I'm srcmake.